Hello, BookTube. Alex here, and I hope you're all fine and dandy-o. Here in the UK, we still got the cracking weather going on. I have no idea who the UK government has bribed to get this, but we'll pay for it come June and July. I've been nothing but rain and thunderclouds, I'm telling you. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video. I'll link it below about the worst fantasy books or fantasy series that I've ever read. I did it in a light-hearted jest kind of a way. It wasn't a jest. I was being completely serious. They are the worst crap I've ever read, which is surprising because the number one on that list, I thought I was going to get more grief over. Because it's kind of lauded by the fantasy base, and I got an agreement. Actually, yeah, that's completely awful series, which it is. It's an awful series, in my opinion. So I thought I'll kind of continue with the fantasy theme along here and just come to you with a couple of suggestions about fantasy that you've not come across because they've kind of like gone through the cracks for you. You've never heard of them. I mean, everybody's heard of them. I mean, how many videos on BookTube are there regarding the Wheel of Time? Is it like 3,487 billion videos? You got the likes of A Song of Ice and Fire and The Lord of the Rings and the Realm of the Elderlings, haven't you? You've got all those massive kind of Leviathans that everybody knows, but there's Harry Potter. There's another one. So everybody knows them, but there's some other fantasies that you may not have read that are equally as good as some of them. You should, if you're a fantasy lover, you should pick them up. So this is definitely a more positive version of the one I did a few weeks ago. So yeah, these are 5 kind of not known fantasy books that you should read. Okay. Now, number 5 is probably the best YA fantasy there is. So take your Harry Potter and chuck it in a bin and replace it with the Aorson Trilogy by Garth Nix. So I know there's prequels and sequels to this, but the original trilogy is the best. So you got the first book, Sabriel, and then you got Lyriel, and then you got the Aorson. The trilogy can be split up into 2 distinct time periods. So the first book takes, I think it's about 15 years before the second and third book, and the first book is about Sabriel, and she's got to go into the old kingdom to rescue her father who's gone missing. And her father's the Aorson, and the Aorson's job is to make sure the dead go where they need to go. Okay, so it has got like a dark theme to this trilogy. And the second and third book is about a character called Lyriel and Sam's Sabriel's son. And it's basically how they are trying to beat back the big bad. Okay. And with 2 really, really good anthropomorphic characters. So you've got the dog and you've got the cat Mogget. Now, as I said, this trilogy is a bit on the dark side, and it's an immensely readable book. There's so much character progression. And when you jump to the second one, you're like, do you know what? These 2 characters, after enjoying Sabriel so much, these 2 characters are doing my head. And believe me, there's a character build to them. It gets a lot better, and it completes the arc in the third book. And yeah, this is YA done right. It's immensely readable. I think I've been told that the audiobook version has been narrated by Tim Curry. I've not listened to it, but wow, by Tim Curry, that probably sounds really, really, really good. So yeah, this is a really, really well done YA fantasy. In my opinion, it's so much better than the likes of Harry Potter because it does pull you in. It delivers for you folks. So this is the Aorson Trilogy by Garth Nix. Number 4, standalone alert. Woo 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 woo. When do you ever see a standalone fantasy? Oh, It's rare, isn't it? It's like finding a needle in a haystack, trying to find a standalone fantasy. Because as we all know, fantasy series just get milked, don't they? All the way to all the way to the bare bone. Yeah. So this is a standalone, and it is a great fantasy book as well. It does nothing new. But it's still chef's kiss fantasy. So this is Talion Revenant by Michael A. I need to get his name right because I called him Stodgepool last time. That's not right. It's Stackpole. Michael A. Stackpole. So this is about a character called Nolan. And you'll learn right from the start that he's gone through some bad things. His family was murdered. And then he grows up and then he becomes something called a justice. Now, the justices are like, they're probably best described as Jedi. So you can do all the crazy martial arts stuff, and they got magical abilities as well. So they're very much like an Obi-Wan Kenobi or a Yoda kind of a character. And it might be his first assignment, but I can't remember. But one of his assignments is that he's got to protect the king that was responsible for his family's murder. And so it's that kind of juicy kind of great story. It is a great fantasy book. The book kind of goes backwards and forwards in time as well, between before he was a justice and then to the current when he's trying to protect the king. And this is a very, very well done fantasy. The character progression is fantastic in this book. It's really a well-written fantasy book, and it's a standalone, folks. 500 pages, and you're actually done with a fantasy book. So this is an immensely readable, normal fantasy book. There's nothing new in here. If you like the kind of like a kind of style where the characters just like a Jedi, crazy warrior thing, you'll love this book. It's really well done fantasy with great pacing and a great character set and great character progression as well. So this is a fantasy must. Number three is it's a little bit of an odd one, but again, woo, standalone alert. So yeah, if you like The Gunslinger by Stephen King, or any of China Miéville's books, you probably like this book. This is Etched City by K.J. Bishop. Now, this is about two people who are fleeing the aftermath of a war. So there's Riddle, who's like a healer, and there's Gwyn, who's like a warrior. And they come upon this town, which is sort of in trouble. Riddle's she's trying to, be the doctor of the town, and then Gwyn works for this like dubious person as an assassin. Now, as I said, this is a strange one. It's not so much plot, but really the characters. It's about the characters. It's about human nature in a fantasy land. Magic is not prevalent in this series. It's more of an offstage kind of thing, but it is there, and it's really the story is a bit ambiguous, but it is a wonderfully crafted. It is wonderful. The writer knew, K.J. Bishop, know what they were doing. It's moody. It's atmospheric. It's grim. It's really looking at the struggles between doing good and doing bad. That's Etched City, and there is gory details in this. It is quite ferocious. It's not like a cheery Lord of the Rings, everyone gets and holds hands at the end of the story. It's a really grim fantasy. A lot of philosophy. As I said, it's not really plot driven, these books, but for those of you who like that, like ambiguous human relation kind of a book, this is it. And if you do like the likes of Stephen King's The Gunslinger, because it is like a fancy-esque spaghetti western. Not as grim as bloody Cormac McCarthy or anything like that, but it's there. I mean, there is action too, but it comes in little doses, and it's more for the final as well. But it does end really, really well. And yeah, so this is a strange one to recommend, but I think people should read it anyway because it's few. You find few and far in between fantasy books like this, and it's really well done, moody, atmospheric book, which I think everyone should read. Number two, we're back to fantasy series and trilogies now. Way. And what I consider a classic of the genre. I think this series came out in the late 70s. It might have finished in the early 80s. This is Patricia Clip, the Riddle Master Trilogy. So you've got the Riddle Master of Head, you've got Air to Sea and Fire, and then Harpist and the Wind. So the premise of the book, well, the first book, is that the wizards and magicians have all gone, and they've left the power in the form of riddles. And there's a prince named Morgan, and he's living on an island called Head, and it's kind of a working class farmer kind of land. It's just practical, nothing fancy. But as soon like evil starts to rise and shapeshifters appear, so he doesn't know who to trust anymore. So he decides to go out and seek the High One, and he takes a harpist called Death, as in DETH. He takes the harpist with him, and it's a whole learning riddles, and he shapeshifts into different things like elk and trees and throughout the series. The second one, it's not Morgan, who is the main character. It's big. Her name is Rydea, and she goes out to try and find where he's gone. And then the series wraps up with finding out the riddle for Morgan's future and his relationships with everyone and all that kind of thing. He's like a hidden prince kind of deal. This is a classic of the genre. It's in very much in the same kind of vein as the Lord of the Rings. It's more myth based things going on here. A lot of philosophizing too, but don't let that put you off. It's an immensely readable, and they're not massive kind of books like the Song of Ice and Fire, or God forbid anything what's produced by Brandon Sanderson these days. But these are really, really easy, nice books to read. They are really well developed. The writing's top notch in this series, more so than probably anything else on this list. This is where the writing is at, and that's why I think it's a classic. It's immensely readable, immensely enjoyable, and it's kind of a weird kind of magic system, working out riddles to gain power and stuff like that, and it's shapeshifters and all sorts going on. So this is the Riddle Master Trilogy, and you should get on it because it's a classic. And number one, this is another fantasy series, and to me, this is probably the best of the hidden gems in the fantasy genre. This is a quadrilogy. This is by Dave Duncan, and it's the Man of His Word quadrilogy. So it's just 4 books. See if I can remember the names. It's Magic Casement, Fairies of the Forlorn, Perilous Seas, and Emperor and Clown. So this is a classic fantasy series. I mean, Dave Duncan is a really, really good author anyway. He is, believe me. Again, if you read the blurb to this, this farm boy, princess, goblins, magic. It is that. So there's the fantasy cliches in here, but don't let that put you off, because Dave Duncan's writing is addictive to read. He kind of takes those old fantasy cliches and just turns something completely new. So this is like, it may be a Tolkien clone, but he does something new here, and he does. It is an enthralling read. You should pick this series up. It is really, really good, and it's got also like a really good magic system as well. A really unique magic system. I put it on par as the Mistborn series and the Pound of Mage trilogy. So it's got like a unique magic system there, and guys, you're not going to go wrong reading this series. Even if you're like, okay, yeah, it's a bit cliche at the end of the day, but I still did enjoy it. This is a great fantasy series. I think there's a sequel to this as well, but I've not read it and I've heard meh things about it. So stick with the original Quadrilogy because it is a really, really well done. I mean, the cast of characters in this are fantastic, and the world building is great. The writing is fantastic, and it's gone so undernoticed. It is a hidden gem. You need to go out and read this because it is fantastic. So yeah, they're my 5 recommendations, like 5 hidden gem recommendations for you if you didn't know any of them. So yeah, so comment down below if you agree or disagree with me, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.